Oh dear God, look at the ability section for Arcanine. Greetings, Auto Subs, VideoJames, and today we're going to be looking at how to use Arcanine. Arcanine is actually, to admit it, actually one of my favorite Pokemon. I have to say, it is honestly one of my favorite Pokemon, not only for the design, but for the strength that it honestly brings. That Arcanine brings immense amounts of strength to battle, both as a sweeper and as a kind of tanker. But anyway, my opinions aside, Arcanine is actually a very useful Pokemon, but for some reason he's been getting less use now and again. That for some reason I've seen less Arcanines actually being used, and more Landorus's and Tapu Kokos, and I can't help but wonder why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Arcanine isn't a Pokemon that every 10,000 people use every 5 seconds. Okay, opinions aside, Arcanine is actually very useful. So when we look at the abilities, we see we have Intimidate, lowers our opponent's attack when we enter the battle down to 0.65. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for Pokemon with Clear Body, Hyper Cutter, or White Smoke. And I do believe there's one other kind of Pokemon that doesn't get affected by it, but I would have to check that. I know there's one more, but I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up. But we also have Flash Fire, which is actually seen on a lot of Fire-type Pokemon. That whenever you're hit by a Fire-type move, and you have the Flash Fire ability, any of your Fire-type moves will deal an extra 1.5 damage. And you actually become immune to every Fire-type move that tries to hit you. So, like, say your opponent tries to come at you with a Mind Blown, okay, Arcanine, Flash Fire, come at me, boy, now my fire is stronger. And Will-o-Wisp actually does activate the ability without having an effect. So if someone tries to Will-o-Wisp you, and you have the Flash Fire ability, it will kick off the Flash Fire effect. But if you are a Fire type, Will-o-Wisp with Flash Fire will actually cancel out the effect of Will-o-Wisp. But if you're not a Fire type and you do have the Flash Fire ability, Will-o-Wisp will actually burn you. And then we see the hidden ability Justified, which is honestly very good in today's current meta with how many times I see knockoff. That Justified attack is raised by 1 stage when you're hit with a Dark type move. So say you get hit by a Dark Pulse from a Greninja, then it's like, okay, my attack's up. Extreme Speed, boy! Or we get hit by a knockoff, okay, my attack's up. Extreme Speed, boy! Yeah, a lot of Arcanine's move pool kinda has Extreme Speed involved in it. And then we see Arcanine, pure fire typing. So we are actually going to be getting the weakness to water, ground, and rock, as well as the resistances to steel, fairy, grass, ice, fire, and bug. So we are actually going to be resisting a very fair amount. Arcanine stats, we see that it's near pseudo-legendary. That we see Arcanine is near pseudo-legendary level. That we have 90 in the HP, we have 100 in the attack, we've got 80 in both defenses, we've got another 100 in the special attack, and then we have 95 in the speed. So Arcanine is hitting that near pseudo-legendary level. That I honestly am surprised why it didn't get pseudo-legendary stats. But anyway, we see Arcanine can go a multitude of ways that you can make it physically bulky, you can make it specially bulky, you can make it fast and sweepy, you can make it bulky and sweepy. It all just depends on how you want to use Arcanine. Looking at the first Arcanine set, we see we actually have a Life Orb set. Now, this set, I really wasn't sure on the item, because I was kind of torn between Choice Band, Choice Scarf, and Life Orb. But I ended up just deciding on Life Orb, just because it does basically the same thing as Choice Band without the lock, and Choice Scarf, while it does help, kind of makes your damage a little less than desirable. So, we get the Life Orb for that 1.3 damage on all our attacks. We got that Intimidate to kind of get rid of our opponent's attack, that we switch on something like, say, a Landorus or a Lycanroc, that we Intimidate and their opponent, or their attack gets down to 0.65. Now we see we have Flare Blitz for that massive fire damage. That Flare Blitz is absolutely broken when it comes to fire-type moves. But not as broken as Mind Blown. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Mind Blown was made to be broken. Then we have Crunch there for that Dark type, plus the chance to lower their defenses. We've got Wild Charge as a water counter. That Wild Charge got a decent power level that I think it's somewhere in the 100s. and it is actually an electric type move, so we do have that counter to water types like Greninja. That Greninja is extremely weak, and it won't really survive a hit from basically anything. So if we hit it with, say, Wild Charge from Arcanine, that's going to end up doing at least 100% of the damage to a Greninja, especially if it's a Life Orb Greninja, just like us. And then we have Extreme Speed, just because that 80 base power plus the priority just makes Extreme Speed all that much more powerful. And then we see we got the maxed out attack and speed with the Jolly Nature. I almost reset the page for a minute. But the way Arcanine basically works with this set is he's a sweeper. That's basically the really only way you can use him. A lot of the times he is going to be a fast sweeper. Well, not fast sweeper, but if you run a Choice Scarf, he is going to end up being a fast sweeper. Or if you run a Life Orb and a Choice Band, he would actually be more of an attacking sweeper. But either way, he can run as both, basically, no matter what set you're using. That with Extreme Speed, if we do get locked into something, then we have a really fast move, normal type, decent power. We're going to be getting faster than a lot of stuff, and we're actually going to be hitting with priority. Or if we get locked or unlocked with the Life Orb, then we just have massive amounts of boosted damage onto every one of our moves, and then we just hit with extra damage while dealing also a little bit of damage to ourselves. That we can just do massive amounts of damage and take a tiny bit back, but we can still do massive amounts of pain and hurt onto all of our enemies. Now, Arcanine does have quite a few things to worry about, however. That a lot of Pokemon like Landorus are actually going to be a major problem for Arcanine. Or Pokemon like Lycanroc. That Lycanroc, it's going to have that Rock-type move, and that's going to be super effective on Arcanine. And that Accelerock having priority, that if we don't call it and use the Extreme Speed and manage to take the Lycanroc out, then we could actually get taken out first. That with the Swords Dance and the Accelerock, we could actually end up getting taken out by the Lycanroc before we get the chance to take them out. Or Pokemon like Greninja, that with the set for Arcanine being a sweeper, that he doesn't really have much bulk, so Pokemon like Greninja can just come in and sweep him down immediately. That with something like Scald, we're doing massive amounts of damage, and we're going to be getting the one-hit KO. Now, moving on to the next set, we see we have a split defense bulky set. So, the idea behind this set, Rocky Helmet with Intimidate, we have Will-o-Wisp, Morning Sun, Snarl, and Flamethrower, with the maxed out HP and the split defenses, with the Bold Nature. Now, the idea behind this is we're actually going to be a special Arcanine, that we're going to be making use of that special attack, and we're going to actually be trying to make use of our bulkiness as well. So we have the Rocky Helmet for physical attackers, that if we get hit by physical contact by a physical Pokemon, then we have the Rocky Helmet there, and we have the Intimidate. That Intimidate cuts their health down, cuts their attack down a little bit. I screwed that up completely. But Intimidate cuts their attack down a little bit, and then we have the Rocky Helmet there to kind of damage our opponent when they hit us with a contact move. That Knockoff, which is very common. Your opponent tries to hit you, okay, but your attack's lowered, and I have the Rocky Helmet, so I get wrecked, my boy. And now we see we also have the Special Defense bulk, that with the Special Defense and Defensive bulk split equally, that we do actually get a bit of tank with our 384 HP. That with our HP being as huge as it is, we will actually be able to sustain ourselves for quite a bit of time. Now we see we have Will-o-Wisp there as kind of an attack counter. That Will-o-Wisp is kind of there just to break their attack down even more after the Intimidate. That we want to kind of hit them with the Will-o-Wisp, and then we can either sense that they're going to do a switch in into something, or we can just Will-o-Wisp it again, or use a Flamethrower. Then we have Morning Sun there just for that recovery, that with this set you will actually be able to get a decent amount of tank, so you could go for a Morning Sun and heal yourself up. And then we got Snarl, that if we anticipate the switch in and do a special attacker that's going to hurt us, like, again, Greninja, that Greninja having that Scald, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Extra Sensory set can actually damage us a lot. So if we anticipate the switch in into Greninja correctly, we can just go Snarl. We can lower Greninja's special attack so it doesn't really do much to us. And then next turn we can kind of just Will-o-Wisp it to take it down even more. And then we also have Flamethrower just for that fire attack. That Flamethrower has decent power. It does have that 10% chance to burn. And it is getting the stab from our single fire typing. And then we see the next set is actually a fully tanky Arcanine set. So the idea behind this is we got leftovers with Intimidate. Again, Intimidate's really the only ability you'll see run on an Arcanine that much. You don't really see Flash Fire that much because a lot of people don't really like anticipating with Arcanine, just because if you're running it as a sweeper, you can't really take a hit too hard, and if you anticipate wrong, then you could take a severe amount of damage that you don't want to take. But we see we get the leftovers with Intimidate, we have Substitute, Curse, Morning Sun, and Extreme Speed, and we have the maxed out HP and special defense with the Careful Nature, and the 4 EVs thrown into defense. So the idea behind this set is we've got a especially tanky Arcanine, so we do actually have the chance to actually be a tank. That we can set up the Substitute first turn, and we can get that tank that we need, and if our opponent switches in, then we get even more of what we need. And we've got Curse there to kind of just boost our attack and defense, that with us having the special defense already invested, that we can go Curse to raise our defense to where it's up into the 300s, and we can raise our attack to where it's in the near 400s as well. And then we have Extreme Speed. That Extreme Speed has that priority, so it's actually going to be faster than everything despite our speed, and we do actually have that really high power on Extreme Speed that, until a long time ago, I didn't know that Extreme Speed was actually a priority move with that high power, because I didn't think that any priority move could have that high of a power, except for Sucker Punch, because I didn't really think Sucker Punch was considered a priority move, because it had to have a condition. But Extreme Speed is actually a very powerful, very strong priority move that definitely runs well on Arcanine. That Extreme Speed with that boosted attack is actually going to be doing very good things for us. And that with Morning Sun, we can heal up our HP if we need to, and go for another Curse and just get even more attack and pile that onto the Extreme Speed damage. And the reason this Arcanine also works so well is with Pokemon like Ferrothorn. That Ferrothorn, trying to set up that Leech Seed on us, okay, but we're going to outspeed you, so we're going to get that Substitute off, and that's actually going to work for a multitude of the Pokemon that are kind of running like Ferrothorn, that Pokemon like Shuckle, or, I would say Sableye, that are trying to use stuff like Will-o-Wisp, or Infestation, or Leech Seed. We can say, okay, we're going to substitute that so we can get out of dodge, and then they just hit the substitute with their status move, and we don't really take any damage or anything from it. And that's basically going to be it for how to use Arcanine. Again, Arcanine is one of my favorite Pokemon. It does work out very well. It is a very strong, very adaptable Pokemon. There's a multitude of ways you can run it. I would say probably my favorite set is to run a Sweeper Arcanine, just because it does work out really well. I do favor the tankier set as well. That I like the tankier set as a method of just kind of being a troll, but also for the fact that it's honestly a good way to use Arcanine. I honestly kind of prefer this method over some of the other substitute setup Pokemon. But anyway, my opinions aside, I'm leaving this video here. If you guys have any Pokemon you want to see me do videos on in the future, let me know down in the comments. I did say last week that this would be the video that I had set up for this week, but I don't have anything else recorded for next week, so if any of you have any suggestions for Pokemon you want to see, let me know down in the comments, and I will definitely make videos on them. And even if I do say I have a Pokemon set up for next week, then still, let me know down in the comments, because I'm always happy to hear ideas, and happy to look into how Pokemon can be used. In fact, that's the entire reason of this series, is to look into different ways that all the Pokemon can be used that haven't really been explored. But for now, I'm leaving this video here. If you guys liked it, you can slap the like button as always, and I'll see all you beautiful people in the next video.